Chapter 4. I don't wake up. I explode into consciousness. The transition from the simulation to reality isn't a gentle sunrise, it's a physical assault. 1 second I'm in a red velvet dress, sipping a cocktail of victory in a simulated square, and the next, I am a broken thing on a cold stone floor. The pain is incroyable. It's a corridor-sized migraine, 1,000 needles of fire stitching through my brain. I was mentally held by 12 of the most powerful archmages of Darton for over a month. 12 of them, pouring their focus into my skull, weaving a world out of ordinary boredom just to keep me from biting their king. Breaking that spell didn't just hurt. It felt like having my soul scraped out with a rusty spoon. I let out a sound that isn't human, a raw, guttural screech that echoes off the damp stone walls. My vision is a blurred mess of gray and shadow. The air smells of ozone, old sweat, and the metallic tang of blood. Dungeons. Target fort. Of course. I try to move my hands, but my fingers feel like lead. The halved weight of my soul is still there, that cold, empty space Sasha carved out of me back in Almiron. I am diminished. I am weak. And then I remembered the golden sparks. In the simulation, I slaughtered them. I channeled the mana right out of the program's heart. Those sparks weren't just code, they were the actual essence of the archmages holding the leash. I didn't just break the prison, I ate the guards. The power hits me like a wave of molten gold. It's not my usual red velvet magic. It's sharp, it's bright, it's foreign. It's the combined power of 12 elite mages rushing through a body designed to hold a royal vampire's soul. I feel like a star about to go supernova. My heart, the one I don't even need to beat, is flowing with enough force to crack my ribs. I look at my hands. They aren't shaking anymore. They're glowing. The heavy iron door of my cell groans. Footsteps, voices. Is she finally awake? Hey, it took her long enough. The archmages are practically powerless after she broke the feed. 2 guards step into the light. Standard Darton gear, blue cloaks, silver-edged armor, looks of bored authority. They see me standing there, with my hair being a dark tangle, eyes burning red so bright it's almost white. Back to the wall, Philia, one says, reaching for his mace. No, I whisper. My voice sounds like tectonic plates grinding together. I don't think so. I don't use a spell. I don't need to. I just move. The Archmage's drained power makes the world look like it's standing still. I am a blur of red and gold. Before the guard can even lift his mace, my hand is around his throat. I don't just squeeze. I channel a burst of raw, unrefined power directly into his body. His neck doesn't just snap, it disintegrates. Blood is spraying across the gray stones, hot, iron-scented, and real. The second guard's eyes go wide, but he never gets the chance to scream. I lunge, while my claws become nearly blades of light. I drive them into his chest, through the silver armor like it is wet cardboard, and rip upwards. I don't stop to watch him fall. I'm out of the cell before the first drop of blood hits the floor. The corridor is a nightmare of my own making. I encounter a squad of 4 more guards in the next hallway. They see the glow coming and raise their shields. "Stop the monster!" I laugh. It's a terrifying sound even to me. I throw my hands out and a wave of jagged red energy, laced with golden lightning, roars down the passage. It's too much power. It's messy. The walls of the dungeon groan as the stone itself begins to melt under the heat. The guards don't have time to defend themselves. The wave hits them and simply deletes them. One man's helmet melts into his skull, another is slammed into the ceiling with enough force to turn his bones into powder. The air is filled with the smell of scorched meat and the wet, slapping sound of what's left of them hitting the ground. I keep walking. I am a massacre on two legs. I find a group of mages in the lower levels, likely the assistants who are monitoring my vitals. They try to cast a binding circle. I see the blue runes beginning to form on the floor. Stupid, I mutter. I stop my heel onto the center of their geometry. The golden power in my veins reacts to their magic like fire to gasoline. The sigil doesn't just fail, it explodes. The backlash sends 3 mages flying backwards. I'm on them before they can even recover. I catch the first one by the head and slam it into the wall. Once, twice, the third time, the stone cracks and his head gives way with a sickening wet crunch. Brain matter and grey bone shards paint the wall behind him. I turn to the other 2, who are begging, actually begging in a language I don't care to understand. I drive my hands into their chests and pull. It's gore, it's raw, it's exactly what they earned for trying to turn me into a fast food worker for a month. I leave the hallway, looking like a butcher shop after a hurricane. I burst through the final set of heavy oak doors and into the courtyard of the Targetford Royal Castle. The space is grand, a massive expanse of polished white marble surrounded by towering spires and red banners snapping in the wind. A grand fountain is sitting in the center. Its water is clear and dancing in the light. Or it was grand. I let out a roar and unleash everything inside me. I'm not even aiming, I'm just venting the pressure of 12 archmages sitting in my veins. Arcs of red fire are screaming out from my body, smashing into the columns, shattering the marble floor into jagged teeth. The fountain explodes, sending a spray of water and stone shards into the air like shrapnel. Max! I scream his name into the sky until my throat feels like it's bleeding. Louis, you bastard! Come out! I want them to hear me. I want the whole city to know that the royal vampire family doesn't die quietly. We don't go out like flickering candles. We go out like falling stars. The courtyard is quickly filled with soldiers. They pour out from the barracks and the side gates like a disturbed nest of hornets. Hundreds of them. Plate armor clinking, spears leveled, crossbows clicking into place on the balconies above. To them, I'm a target. To me, they are mayflies. I am moving through them like a reaper. I don't even feel the ground under my feet. I rip a heavy steel shield from a man's arm, snapping his radius like a dry twig in the process, and use the sharp edge to decapitate the soldier right next to him. I don't stop. I grab a spear mid-air, pivot on one heel, and throw it back with enough power to make it punch through 3 men at once, pinning them to the far stone wall in a messy, vertical row. The white marble is no longer white. It's a lake of crimson. Bodies are piled in heaps, limbs twisted at impossible angles. I am a whirlwind of red stars and raw physical violence. A squad of elite guards tries to surround me with heavy metal shields. I don't maneuver, I just pulse. A dome of red force erupts from my chest, obliterating the shields and the men behind them into a fine mist of iron and bone. The air is thick with the iron smell of blood, the screams of the dying and the constant rhythmic roar of my own overcharged power. I am slaughtering them by the dozens, a butcher in a red dress, and for the first time in my life, I don't feel the halved emptiness. I feel full. I feel like a god. Martha. The voice isn't a scream, it's a command. Calm, heavy, it cuts through the noise of the massacre like a blade through silk. I spin around. My cloak, now tattered and soaked in blood, whipping around my legs. I am breathing hard. My vision is edged with red fire. Alinis is standing at the far end of the courtyard. He looks exactly as I remember. Tall, lean, wrapped in those pale robes that look like they've never touched a speck of dust. His white hair is pulled back, and his all-seeing eyes are watching the carnage with a look of profound sadness. "That is enough, child," he says softly. "Child!" I hiss, stepping over a pile of corpses. "You let them do this. You let Louis trap me in that hideous life. You let them play with my head for a month." "It was meant to protect the balance, Martha," he says, stepping forward. The gold light on his fingers is already beginning to hum. "We could not let you stay in Darkwood. The war was too close to tipping. Your balance is a lie." I scream. I flick my hand, sending a precise bolt of red energy straight at his chest. He doesn't move. A shield of perfect golden geometry flickers into existence in front of him. My spell hits, and it shatters. But a stray spark of the stolen Archmage power, hotter and brighter than my own, zips around the edge. It catches the hem of his pristine white robe. The fabric blackens and curls. A small flame licks upwards. Alinis looks down at the singed edge of his clothes, and for the first time, his expression shifts. The sadness is gone. His eyebrows draw together. He realizes then. He feels the 12 archmages I've swallowed. He realizes I'm not just a disruptive variable anymore. I'm a threat. "So," he says, his voice instantly losing its warmth, "you took the bait." "I took the power," I growl. The courtyard explodes again, but this time it's not just me. Alinis raises both hands and the sky above Targetford seems to respond. Golden lines of light sketch themselves in the air, forming a massive interlocking grid that stretches from spire to spire. It's beautiful and terrifying. He's not just casting a spell, he's rewriting the physics of the courtyard. Suddenly, gravity shifts. The blood on the floor begins to float upwards in tiny droplets. I launch myself at him. I am a meteor of red wrath. I smash into his first barrier with my bare fists, using the channeled power to punch holes in his geometry. Each impact sounds like a mountain breaking. Gold shards are flying everywhere, but Alinis is already moving. He isn't running, he is gliding. His feet are barely touching the blood-slicked marble. He retaliates with a blast of pure gold light that carries the weight of a falling building. I don't dodge. I raise my own shield. A messy, vibrating wall of red sparks. The collision rocks the entire castle. The glass in the high windows of the spire shatters simultaneously, raining down like diamonds. He sweeps his arm, and the golden grid in the sky descends. I feel the pressure trying to crush me into the dirt. I roar, forcing my way upwards. My muscles are screaming under the strain. I summon a swarm of my red stars. Hundreds of them, each one overcharged with the stolen essence. They aren't drifting now, they are bullets. They scream through the air, weaving around Alinis' defenses. He has to work for it now. He's spinning. His hands are a blur of golden mathematics, deflecting the stars, creating mirrors to bounce them back. He is dropping pillars of solid gold light from the sky, trying to pin me down. I tear through them with my bare hands. The stolen mana is burning my palms. One star grazes his shoulder. Another rips through his sleeve, drawing a thin line of red across his ancient skin. I see the sweat on his brow. I see the way his breath is coming in short, sharp grasps. The Archmage of Darton is tired. I charge one last time, pulling every remaining drop of the channeled power into my right hand. The red and gold energies are fighting each other now, swirling in a violent vortex. It's blinding. It's painful. It feels like my arm is going to shatter into a million pieces. I swing. Alinis meets me with a massive burst of golden force. His face is set in a mask of absolute focus. The impact is silent for a heartbeat. A total vacuum of sound, and then a shockwave levels everything left in the courtyard. The remaining columns collapse. The rubble is ground into dust. We are both thrown backwards in opposite directions. I hit the far wall of the castle with enough force to leave a crater in the stone. I slide down, gasping for air that isn't there. My lungs are feeling like they're full of hot ash. Across the ruins, Alinis is leaning on a piece of broken marble. His robes are a disaster, half burned, torn in dozen places, stained with his own blood and the dust of his home. He looks old. Not powerful old, just old. I try to stand, but the gold in my veins is flickering. The Archmage power is leaving me, bleeding back into the air, its temporary fuel being spent. I can feel the halved emptiness of my soul returning, cold and hollow. I don't let him see it. I pull myself upright, masking the tremor in my legs with a lazy, bloody smirk. I spit a mouthful of red onto the ruined marble. Not bad for a child, eh, Alinis? I croak. He doesn't answer immediately. He's looking at his shaking hands. Then at the courtyard that looks like the end of the world. He looks at the hundreds of dead men whose blood is cooling on his marble floors. The silence is heavier than the noise was. You are your father's daughter, he says finally, with his voice thin and reedy. I am more than that, I say, steadying my breathing. And I am just getting started. I raise my hand. The red light is dim now, but I have enough for one more trick. I draw a circle in the air, the red wound of a portal. Tell Louis he can keep the change for the fries, I say, thinking of the fake life they tried to bury me in. I'm coming for my refund. I step into the red haze. Wait, you are making a terrible... I don't hear the rest. The portal pinches shut, leaving only the smell of ozone and the silence of a graveyard behind. Alinis is standing alone in the center of the wreckage. He looks at the white marble, now almost entirely painted in the deep, dark crimson of his own men. He looks at the shattered banners of Darton, laying in the ash. The grand fountain is just a jagged stump of stone. He reaches up to touch the tear in his robe. His fingers are brushing the skin where she had actually managed to hurt him. In centuries of holding the balance, of guiding kings and outsmarting mages, he had always been the one in control. He had always been the one catching people as they fell. He looked at the empty air where Martha had vanished. His hand was still shaking. It wasn't just physical exhaustion, it was a cold, crawling sensation in his chest that he hadn't felt since he was a novice student at the academy. He was scared. The balance hadn't just tipped, it had broken, and for the first time in his very long life, Alinis realized he didn't have a plan for what came next.